So I joined my first game jam about a month ago, and I wanted to make a video to showcase my experience in the jam. Technically it was my first jam I completed. I did one game jam a little while ago, however I didn't finish the game due to engine limitations. I probably could have finished the game now that I know more about the engine I was using, but at the time I was really confused on how to do something, and I ended up not finishing the game. The game jam I participated in was called the Hypixel Game Jam, not to be confused with the Minecraft server. It's something completely different. But the jam had 34 entries, and my game placed 4th, and that I thought was pretty good for a first time game. My submission was called Light Mode Dark Mode. The theme of the jam was Parallel Worlds. So the concept for my game is you have to swap between the light mode and the dark mode of the game. Like, the dark mode reveals certain platforms, the light mode reveals other platforms, and you have to constantly be swapping between those two modes to actually complete the platformer. For this jam, I used ClickTeam. Now wait, before you bully me, I'm learning Unity. I actually did a jam recently in Unity, so I'm doing that. But yeah, I use ClickTeam for this because I know how to use ClickTeam. It's pretty good for making a game really fast, especially if you're doing a jam, you're gonna want to make a game fast. So I use ClickTeam and it worked fine. There are definitely a bunch of limitations when it comes to ClickTeam, like the physics engine, not exactly the most complicated thing. It can be good and bad. It's easy to work with. However, there's a whole bunch. I had to scrap a few levels from my game. I ended up making like 9 levels. I scrapped a few because I had moving platforms, but ClickTeam did not work well with moving platforms. I made 1 level with moving platforms, and even that level's a bit finicky, but it worked fine in the end. Making a platformer in ClickTeam is like unbelievably simple. You literally take a platform movement object. This one's actually an extension. It's not actually part of ClickTeam, but you can download it for free. You move it into the frame. You select what object you want to have it interact with, and then bam, it has gravity. All you got to do is link controls, change movement speed, jump speed, all that kind of stuff. And that's how you set up a platformer. Then from there, I just had to figure out a whole bunch of other mechanics. So I had to figure out how to get each mode switched, so I had to make like 2 different backgrounds, I had to make 2 different platform types, and what I could do is I just made platforms, disappear, just turn invisible, and for the player movement, this actually took me a long time to get, to figure out how to do. It was super, super easy now that I think about it, but I basically have the player check for the collision. It'll check because, for example, in Unity, I've been messing around with Unity, and it has a rigid body system as well as, the collision boxes. I'm learning, so everything I say might not be entirely correct, but it just kind of interacts with things that have colliders. In ClickTeam, I can check which object it's allowed to collide with. I think you can probably do that in Unity, but I'm not sure. So every time it's testing for collision, it's also testing if the block is visible. So if it's invisible, it'll just fall right past it. If it's visible, it will land on top of the object. Now, something really, really dumb is I spent like 1.5 days trying to figure out a save system, which is completely pointless for my game. Basically, so there's 9 levels. It doesn't take long to beat the game. I can probably speed run it in like a minute. But I created the save system just in case anyone closed out of the game and then booted it back up. It'll basically take them right back to the level they ended on, which, I guess there was no point. It was only 9 levels, but I wanted to make a save system. But this took way too long, and I ended up taking like a day and a half to make the save system. I was using the .ini files because that's the easiest way to save games in ClickTeam. You can probably use binary, however, that's a lot more complicated. .ini is simple. Basically, it'll create a file, and it will create like a name, and then it'll have the number or whatever data you're saving afterwards. It's super simple, but it took me way too long to actually implement it, and the solution was so ridiculously simple. I was overthinking it, and it took me a day and a half. I probably could have created 3 extra levels, or probably more. I could have done so much with that time, but instead I put it all into making a save system, which in the end, like, probably no one even bothered to use. I didn't really have any bugs when I first released the game. The one bug that I encountered was I had one thing I tried to do with my game is sound design. I like sound design in video games. It's pretty fun. So I think the sounds in my game, I think I did a pretty good job with it. I chose some really nice music, but there was a problem on the main menu screen where the music would loop. So if you go to the controls window and then you go back to the main menu, it'll play the title screen sound again. I had that out for I had the game out for like 10 minutes before I realized that bug existed. So I was able to take the game, or not take the game down, but I could like upload a new build and submit it. So I did that. I was extremely excited to see my game had come forth. I think that's pretty good for someone who's submitting a game for the first time. I'll put up a whole bunch of videos of like other games as well, just to show them off. There was a few really good ones. Most of them were 2D based games. There was one that was like a 3D platformer where you had to switch, you have to switch between different worlds where there's like blocks in certain spots. It was pretty good, but actually I thought that game was going to do way better than it actually did. It ranked 14th. I genuinely thought it was going to do much better. But my game tied with another game called Parallel Worlds, and that game looked pretty good. I'm looking forward to doing more jams. I'm trying to switch to Unity. I might do another video at some point because I recently did a jam in Unity and I think that went pretty well. So the game's not finished. Like, I uploaded a very bare bones version of it, so all there is a health system and other mechanics. I have like one type of enemy and it's super simple, but I want to add like more music, sound effects. I don't even have a title screen for it, but I will have all of that, and I'll link that game and the game I did for this jam in the description for anyone who wants to try it out. They are both very short. There's not much in any of the games, but I think light mode, dark mode is a pretty good experience, in my opinion. And then my other game, I do have to put a lot of work into it because I did not finish it for the jam, but I got the core of the game down. So my take on game jams, they're really fun. Game jams are really fun to participate in. A lot of people work together. I worked by myself. I'm not the greatest artist, so if I ever do work with someone, I might try to find someone who's like good at making like assets for games. If you look at both of my games that I've made, they're based on squares. I mean, I think I did a pretty good job making like a simplified look. Like, I made a really nice particle system in light mode, dark mode. So, and I was really happy with that. But my games have a super simplified look, and if I ever do collaborate with someone, I'd probably look for someone who is more on the artistic side of game development, because I'm mainly in programming. So yeah, I think that is everything about this jam. If you guys have any questions about the jam, you can let me know in the description, and I'm looking forward to doing more of those. I think I'll mainly do content based on game jams. I like participating in game jams. It's really fun to have like a week to put a game together. So yeah, I'll be working on a whole bunch of those and probably be uploading just like a devlog from the past week of development. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.